This year, I bought a walking stick online from my own home, specifically so I didn't have to explain myself to anyone. Because if I'd gone into a shop, someone would have made it into a moment, asked who it was for, offered to help me find something more suitable, and they'd have vaguely gestured, meaning older, meaning someone it makes more sense for. I've had a disabled badge since I was 15. 15, and people still genuinely, sincerely, and without embarrassment ask me whose it is. Is that your nana's? No, it's mine. It's been mine since before I could drive. Since before the person asking me was probably thinking much about disability at all. So, online, no moment, just a walking stick arriving in a box, which I then had to decide whether or not I was going to actually use. I really want a rollator, 4 wheels and the little seat. I know it would help. My body knows it would help, but I am not emotionally ready yet. And I've been thinking about what that means because it really isn't about the rollator. Though I will say this, even if I got over myself tomorrow, I'd hit the next wall immediately because the rollators that look like they were designed for someone my age, something modern and colourful that doesn't feel like a prop from a hospital drama, cost significantly more than standard functional ones. Which means that if the goal is to make mobility aids more attractive to younger disabled people so that they'll actually use them, and that is genuinely the conversation, then pricing the appealing ones out of reach is working directly against that goal. The aids most likely to get used are the ones least likely to be affordable. I noticed that, and then I carry on without a rollator because apparently that's the cheaper option. But here's what I want to say about the resistance, because it really isn't about the price either. I've got purple hair. I do not have a problem with standing out. But there's a difference between the kind of visible I choose and the kind of visible that gets chosen for me. My hair says something that I decided to say. It says I'm confident and I'm here on my own terms. Whatever you think of it, I made this choice deliberately. A wheelchair says something very different. A wheelchair says, I need help to survive in this environment. Not because that's wrong, it isn't, but because that's how it's read. The mobility aid doesn't just make my body visible, it changes the message that my body sends. And suddenly, I'm not the person with the purple hair who chose to stand out. I'm the person who needs the chair, and those are not the same visibility at all. I know this because I've used a wheelchair. Not regularly, but on the days when the choice was the chair or not going out at all, I chose the chair. And what happens is this: your body, its difference, its need, becomes impossible to ignore. But you, the person in it, becomes somehow optional to the conversation. Cashiers look at my husband and ask him what I'd like or how I'm paying, or they speak to me differently in that particular register people use for small children and the very elderly, gentle and simplified, like the chair has reclassified me mid-sentence, like whatever I was capable of before I sat down has been quietly revised. It drives my husband absolutely mad, which I find both touching and useful because his anger gives me somewhere to put mine when I've used mine up. Knee braces work the same way. Different problem, same essential dynamic. The braces help a bit, not enough to justify what they bring on with them. Because the moment when something is visible, it becomes an open question. A walking stick and people thinking, oh, good, now I can ask you about the disabled badge. A brace and people want to know what happened. Something visible and they ask, and they mean it genuinely, they're not trying to be unkind. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Something about me isn't right. I'm faulty, defective. And now I've given them a hook. My answer becomes data. Data they'll use to decide how much of my difficulty is reasonable. And then, and this is the part that genuinely takes my breath away sometimes, they'll try to fix it. Have you tried yoga? There's a supplement for that. I'll send you a link. Are you drinking enough water? Have you thought about losing some weight? This is what visibility does. It doesn't just invite curiosity, it turns you into a problem to be solved. And the solutions come from people who have known you for 30 seconds, who have absorbed the vague cultural idea that if you just tried harder, bent more carefully, ate the right things, you wouldn't need that stick at all. which means the stick isn't just visible, it's evidence of your failure to fix yourself. The braces, incidentally, are not kind to the skin, so you get the questions, the reassessments, the unsolicited wellness advice, and new bruises. Very comprehensive. So we perform wellness. We buy the walking stick online so nobody makes a moment out of it. We skip the brace because it's easier than the questions. We do the school run without the rollator we actually need because the pricing says accessibility is for people who can afford it. There's something in me, something installed a long time ago that I don't really want to go into now, that learned the safest thing to do with pain was to make it smaller, to need less visibility, to find a way to manage that doesn't require anyone to notice or adjust or feel uncomfortable. I learned to cry quieter. And that instinct didn't go away when I grew up. It adapted. It became, don't wear the brace if you can manage without it. Don't take the stick if you can get through the school run. Don't use the wheelchair if people from school might see you later and think that you were putting it on. Don't let them find out my dirty little secret, that I am disabled. Not inconvenienced, not a bit creaky, not managing, not coping, not having a difficult patch. Disabled. That's the actual word. And somewhere along the way, I absorbed the idea that this word was something to be managed, rationed, revealed only when it could no longer be avoided. The aid isn't the problem. The aid is a piece of engineering. It exists to make a body that doesn't work typically function in a world built for bodies that do. A walking stick isn't a white flag. A rollator is not a defeat. A wheelchair is not a reduced life. The problem is what that visibility costs. The cashier that speaks to my husband, the stranger with a herbal supplement, the person who sees the stick and immediately calculates how disabled I am and whether that's acceptable. All of them are teaching me every time that being visibly disabled changes how I'm seen, how I'm valued, spoken to, and handled. Until that changes, until a mobility aid stops being an invitation to assess someone's defectiveness, until the aids that might actually be useful are priced like tools, not like luxuries, until the person in the wheelchair gets spoken to rather than spoken around. We are asking disabled people to choose between their bodies and how they're seen. I bought my walking stick online. I'm working up to a rollator. Oh, anyway.